All right, welcome everyone. This is our last hug of the year, and today we're going to dive into HubSpot Hub. It is definitely one of the more overlooked, under the radar hubs that HubSpot has. So I'm excited to kind of for Erica to show us all the different tools and features and hacks that we can implement using her Service Hub to automate, scale, and delight customers.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Erica, it's
Thank
yourself.
you. Thanks, Johnny. Yes, so my name is Erica Josephson. I am the Revenue Operations Manager at Flawless Inbound and our parent company, GSI. We are a HubSpot Solutions partner, and I have been working in HubSpot working with using HubSpot for about 8 years now. I have been in a admin-ish role for most of all of the hubs, including marketing and sales and data operations hub as well. And also Service Hub. But like many other companies, and we can pop into the next slide, like many other companies, we started using or we enabled Service Hub fairly late compared to a lot of other places. And while we noticed that a lot of our customers are all in on sales and marketing hubs, Service Hub is often more untouched, or they're just using very basics like ticketing. And so, why did this happen? Service Hub was a little bit late to the party, as we say, for HubSpot. Sales and Marketing Hub were launched first, as well as the Smart CRM, obviously. And Service Hub came a little bit later. And then when that happened, it was definitely underfeatured compared to dedicated help desk and ticketing platforms. And so a lot of people just weren't able to make their more complex customer service processes work in what was kind of a basic ticketing system. And that means that it was not top of mind for a lot of HubSpot customers. They viewed HubSpot as a CRM and marketing automation platform and not necessarily a service platform. But that said, Service Hub has had a lot of improvements in recent years. HubSpot has been releasing a lot of new tools and features and product updates. And so I believe that Service Hub is now a bit of a hidden gem. Um, why do we think it's that? It has some powerful automation capabilities. It has a integration with your actual CRM and your marketing platform that other ticketing softwares can't match because they're not living in the same system. And by integration, we really mean it's all one system. It's not actually an integration. It just is all together. Whereas when we look at other platforms that do help desk and ticketing, in order to get them to work with your marketing platform, with your sales automation, with your content features, you have to do some sort of integration. But in HubSpot, it all already lives together, so you're sharing all that data. They have recently introduced new AI powered features that surprisingly actually work for brand new AI. I know sometimes that's a little bit scary. Sometimes brand new AI doesn't do exactly what we want it to. But I have found a lot of the AI features in Service Hub are quite powerful and are able to accomplish a lot. And so it helps for businesses that are scaling without the enterprise price tag of some other softwares as well. Because a lot of people actually already have Service Hub in their HubSpot bundle. So if you have one of the bundles that include Service Hub with your HubSpot subscription, you will already have access to these features with your marketing and sales. Even if you don't, adding some Service Hub licenses is not a huge price tag compared to licensing a whole brand new software. So if you're already a HubSpot user and you're looking to scale Service Hub or looking to scale customer service automation, that might be a good option to look into if you want to try to keep the price down a little bit. So, what we're here to talk about today, however, is not just Service Hub in general, but 7 specific Service Hub hacks. We call them hacks, little tips, little tricks, things that are in my opinion, quick to implement, while also being pretty good from a revenue or an ROI perspective. So these are things that you can implement fairly easily that will help with improving the efficiency and ROI of those tools. So these are things we recommend doing to get started. Or if you're already using Service Hub, but you're only using it for your basic ticketing, these are the next steps I would take. Definitely, if you haven't done anything in Service Hub yet, start by setting up your ticketing. But if you do have that ticketing and help desk sort of running on a very basic level, these are the 7 things I would do next. So we are primarily going to demo today, and I have seen a few people join since we started. I just want to let everyone know my camera is not working, but I will be mostly sharing screen and demoing. So let's jump in to the live demo. If at any point you have questions, I have enabled the Q&A just now. So you should be able to, on the bottom menu, click on Q&A and ask any questions, but feel free to also type in chat. There's not too many people here today, so we will be able to answer in chat. Shani will keep up with those, and we'll have some Q&A time at the end. But also, if you have a urgent or relevant question, I can sometimes answer it during the demo as well. Okay, so let's start the screen share. Not the whole window. Okay. There we go. All right, so this is, we're looking in HubSpot right now. We are looking at the help desk. And this is what you would be using if you had a sort of straightforward ticketing system set up. Service Hub is located under the little service bell. So almost all of the Service Hub tools that we're going to look at are over here. Here you can find your help desk, your customer success workspace. If you would like any deeper dives into that, that would be an interesting event we could have or talk about as well. And then you have all other tools. Most of these we will go over today. But the help desk is where you would start if you had all of your tickets, and this would be the basic place where your reps would be handling tickets and responding to inquiries and stuff like that. So one thing that we notice a lot is when our teams are in this system, they might not know always what they're supposed to do. So we often find internal teams, and these first 2 hacks are not just for Service Hub, these are going to apply to your sales and marketing teams as well, but we often find that teams are unsure of the next step they're supposed to take. They forget where they're supposed to click on, or where they're supposed to go, or what a field means and how they're supposed to enter it. And so one thing that we see neglected a little bit in Service Hub is the use of the knowledge base internally. So the knowledge base is down here in menu, and the knowledge base is primarily used as a space where you are able to set up articles that your clients or your potential customers can come in and review about your products or services. They can get an understanding of that. But a little tip that we like to do is to use knowledge base internally. So you can different knowledge bases. You can have your external help center and then also an internal knowledge base. And the internal knowledge base is where you can store articles on all of the different processes that you have. So we're in our demo portal right now, and I do have this set up on sales process internal knowledge base, but you would have the exact same thing for a customer service one. And what you can do is you can password protect this or make it so that only certain people can access it. You can also do just an internal URL, no follow and that kind of thing. So you're not, sharing anything publicly with the knowledge base, but you can share this link with your customer service team, your sales team, and they're able to come through here and search for answers to any questions that they might have. So, if they just forget what MQL is, they can come in and search for that, and then they get all the options of where they can find that. So maybe this article is the one that they want to look at. So now they know what's an MQL and what are they supposed to do when one comes to them. So we really like to use the knowledge base internally because it just provides a place, and also you'd have all your navigation over here, all of the different options. You could have internal tickets. You could have an internal chatbot on here if you wanted to. There's a lot that you could do to help your reps with creating their own or understanding the processes without having to reach out to people, and also without having to leave HubSpot, because you can also embed links to this directly inside of a dashboard in HubSpot or something like that, so that it's quick for them to come in and find the information that they need. But if you have reps who don't usually like to jump out onto another page, and they wouldn't come here and they wouldn't click through the articles, and we hear that a lot. They don't want to leave the software, they just want to stay inside. Something that we would recommend is creating your own custom assistant based on the internal or any other internal process information that you have. Again, the assistant is not specifically a Service Hub thing. We do find that often it is customer service team members who are putting this together, but the assistant is actually found over in the Breeze Studio. So this is a tool, and in the Breeze Studio, if you're interested in...
We've had a question come through.
Oh, sure.
Can you add images and videos in the article?
You absolutely can, yes. So you can do anything that you can do in a blog in HubSpot, you can essentially do in a knowledge base article as well. So you can even add like CTAs, I think, because it is actually intended to be outward facing, like for clients. So they've made it pretty full featured to use. I frequently embed Loom videos. You can see the Loom icon in the bottom of my screen. So I use Loom to create quick little tutorial videos, and I frequently will just embed those into an article as well. Yeah. So
video embedding new, or a few more questions. Yeah, video embedding new, and then are there any extra feeds to insert videos towards your account?
No, there are not. So I wonder if I can create an article and review that. So let's give it a go. I will just jump in and do that. So no, there are not extra fees for adding videos, but if I'm going to create an article, what I would do is in this section here, we can come up to insert and then go video. We can choose a video that we have uploaded into HubSpot or an external one. If it's an external one, that's where you paste your URL. So this is where I paste my Loom video links. You can also just insert a YouTube video like that. And then you can also use videos from inside HubSpot, which is where it will open up your HubSpot whole database, and then you can add that as an old webinar we would upload it. And you can upload those there as well.
And it doesn't use any credits either, does it?
Yeah, no, I don't believe it uses any credits to do that. The Breeze tools, they would tell you if it did. So it would have a little AI on with it for credits, but no. I think maybe if you were going to create a AI video through HubSpot, like if you didn't have one already prepared to embed, but no, I don't believe there are extra fees and or credits there's not for embedding a video, definitely not. If you were using the AI to create video, using the video tools, possibly, but not just for embedding an external link. The video, I think it's maybe these, I don't even know where they are. We don't even have it in our demo account, but the new video tools that would be out here in the Content Hub, this beta might have credits associated. but just inserting an external video into a knowledge base, it shouldn't. A good question, Deepa. Is it dependent on the version? Does the starter package have it? Good question. We will get some information on the packages I not sure. I don't think there's any restrictions to embedding video in terms of that, but there might be restrictions to the knowledge base in general for lower versions of HubSpot. So we can grab some information on that as well and share that. I'm not 100% sure on the licenses right now. All right, I'll jump back into Breeze Studio and we can look at, maybe Shani can have a quick look if she can find anywhere on information on the packages around knowledge base while I do the part. So the Breeze Studio, where you can create an assistant. So there are some, now this is something to be aware of. We're going to talk about customer agent. When we're talking about credits, these are places you need to be aware of what uses credits and what doesn't, because some of these agents use HubSpot credits currently. Most of the agents use credits currently. However, assistants, which are entirely internal, they are only for your team to use inside of HubSpot, do not credits at this time. They're currently in beta, they don't use credits. Be aware that it is possible that in the future they could. I hope that assistants remain either free or with a limited credit consumption, but right now they don't use anything, so it's a really good time to get started and set a few up and see how they work for you. So in this case, what I've done is I've created this pipeline helper assistant, and this is what you would do if you wanted to create an assistant that your team could access at any time to understand your ticketing process and your customer service process. So again, this is a sales demo that we have. So this is a sales pipeline, but it would function the exact same for a ticketing pipeline. And when you build a custom assistant, it brings you into Breeze Studio. And you have your options to set up your messages and then to give your assistant instructions. This is the point where you want to be detailed and to be precise because you don't want the assistant telling your team things that may or may not be true. You want it to only use exactly what it has been provided with. So we have given it detailed instructions on what to do to set this up. And this is something that we can definitely share, although it is based on a fake pipeline. But if you're interested in looking at an example of an instructions to give an assistant, we can definitely share these ones. But it has things that the assistant can't do. It cannot tell your reps they can give discounts. It cannot replace direct manager coaching. It cannot provide answers outside of what's already been defined. It gives it examples of tones. It tells it where its boundaries are, what it knows about, what it doesn't know about, how it should handle certain specific questions. And then what to do if it's asked for something that is outside of scope, which is to reply that they must check with the manager. So you give it these instructions, and then you give it access to what you want it to know. So primarily, you can provide a specific knowledge base. So if you had an internal knowledge base that you had already set up with all of your processes, all of your information, you could program that right in here. You could use an outside diagram as well, so outside like folder as well that includes a diagram. But any sort of outside folder, you can use any sort of your products and services. So if you had a team who maybe wasn't, you had new team members, maybe they don't know what this product is, you could link up your products and services directly into there. You could create anything you want, files, CRM objects, so you can link up a blog, a set of landing pages, anything like that you can add into your knowledge vault and set those up there. You can also give it permission to the web and read your existing records, but that is not something we want to do usually for internal knowledge base, because we want to be very specific about what it knows and what it's allowed to answer. And then, of course, you set up your access. And then you can, when you click publish, it will now be live for your team to use. And so let's say your team members are in their help desk and they want to pop over to the assistant to get some information about a specific task or a pipeline stage in their ticketing pipeline. They can open up the assistant over here, and it will take a second to open up. So let's say now we have our assistant. They'll find all of the different assistants up here. This is HubSpot's assistant, and then also you will have any custom ones that you have come up with here. So you could have different ones for products and services versus the ticketing pipeline versus your customer service process, etc. Then all you need to do is come in and ask it a quick question. So let's say you have a pipeline stage. I want to ask it a question that it's actually going to know, not the LinkedIn group, that it's actually going to know the answer to, which is, what's this pipeline stage? What does that mean in this stage? And look through all of the information that I provided it and give the rep some information on what to do about that. So what are the best practices? What do they need to do to move a deal into that stage? In this case, this is deals, but we would be updating this for tickets. And then, of course, you can see the source of where it got that, which is the document that I already gave to it. You could ask it. Create a deal.
We had another question come through. Someone's asked, does this link in the internal knowledge base?
Yes, it does. So you can use the internal knowledge base to program this out of your knowledge sources. So basically, first you would create your internal knowledge base, and then you would set up that knowledge base as the knowledge base for this assistant. So you would say this is what you're looking at.
Where would you add this?
Okay, so you can't. I don't believe that you can have it in here. So like when you're in this section, you can't, I don't believe, have the assistant. The assistant is only inside of the HubSpot like UI. So the assistant is up here, and then that's where you find it. You wouldn't be able to have the assistant pop up inside of here. But you would use this information to train your assistant. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Oh, okay. Let's have a look at that too. Let's see. It doesn't want you to add a knowledge base. All right, let's give it some knowledge. Oh, here. Okay. So yeah, it is a CRM object, which that's probably not what you would expect, but you would call this internal knowledge base, and then you would go to knowledge articles, and then you would select, if you have more than one knowledge base, if you have an external knowledge base as well, you would need to select all of the ones from your knowledge base individually like this, rather than select all. But if the only knowledge base you have is the accessible one, you can select all and just turn off like anything that's correct or not right. That would be, I would recommend that. It is not too obvious. I feel like it should be like, there should be like a content versus CRM objects, but yes, it is underneath CRM objects. So it's your pipeline demo, and pipeline demo, that is the name of my assistant. That is your assistant demo. And let us know if you have any other questions about setting that up. Again, we recommend being really, really specific with the instructions so that the AI doesn't go rogue and start answering things that it's not supposed to. But if you want help with that, let us know. We're very happy to share the instructions that we've given our pipeline helper as a starting point for you as well. Okay, so we're going to pop out of some of the AI stuff and into a couple of settings that I want to point out for our ticketing system that a lot of people currently don't have or currently maybe aren't aware of. And the primary one for that will go to the desk settings to find these. The first thing that we want to talk about here is skill-based routing. So a lot of people are setting up their tickets and they are routing it two ways, by round robin or by a custom location-based routing that they do, where either it just sends to any potential user who's available, or it sends a ticket to someone based on where they live. But we are finding more and more frequently that team members want to answer questions, and people want their questions answered by team members who are most skilled in or most knowledgeable in what they're asking about. So for that reason, we really like, and this is an enterprise feature. The good thing about these help desk settings is it does say ENT next to things that are enterprise features, so you are able to see that. But skill-based routing. We think skill-based routing is a huge improvement to the help desk and the customer service tools, because it allows you to set up specific skills and then do custom routing of your tickets based on that. So you're always going to have all the language skills. So if you have multiple languages in your portal, you'll have the language skills. But if you pop down into user skills, you can set up custom skills that are technical support, product knowledge, market insight, anything that you want. You could even do it based on your specific product. So you could have a skill for each product that you have, and you could have a different customer service rep for each product. You could have them set up like that. All you do when you create a skill is you just add the name and then you add users to it. So you can see who has the technical support skill, that's me. You can see who has product knowledge, that's my coworker Antoine, and so on. So you can, all you do is name the skill, set that up. And then you pop into rule sets, and that is how you determine how the skill gets routed and from where. So in this case, we have, let's say, the technical support rule set. So the trigger is a chat. So when somebody comes in for a customer service chat with a chatbot, and one is a email address, a customer service email address, please ignore all the demo email stuff that is required for a demo portal. Let's say we have our technical support. So now we have our, how we set up this rule. So this is where it gets a little bit complex, but in a nice way for those people who have complex routing requirements. We are able to look at a bunch of criteria. So let's say we have category as a requirement on our ticket submission, whether that's a form, whether that's through the chatbot, whether that's something that an email is detecting, whether that's something that people are putting into those categories when the tickets come in. Whatever the case is, when we know the category of the ticket is product issue, well, that should probably go to the product team, not the technical support team. So let's change the rule name here to product support. And let's say that the team member needs to have the product knowledge in order to answer this. Otherwise, it's going to do the next thing. So you can get really in depth with this. It kind of works like a workflow in HubSpot where you can say, this and that. Also, maybe in this case, they have to have product knowledge and they have to be English speaking. I don't know, whatever the case is. You set that up. You can also determine which teams it is. So you can have multiple groups here, ands and ors, and you can keep going. So you can get pretty in depth with it, or you can stay pretty basic like this one. All right, so now we have our product support team. And then, of course, we can say tickets go between myself or Antoine, but we know only Antoine will get this because he's the only one with the product support skill. So this is an example of another one where we have a product issue. So you can have multiple rule sets. You can have all kinds of things added here. And then when you turn these on and off to determine whether or not you want them to be active in your portal. All right, I see a couple of chats. I'm just going to have a quick look there. Oh, we still have white noise happening in the background, yes? Interesting. I wonder if that's a Bevy issue. I know that Bevy can have some noise issues. I hope that everyone's still able to hear decently. Let us know if it starts to get really bad. I don't know if there is too much else we can do, but we'll try and stay on mute when we're not speaking as well. Okay. So the other setting I wanted to go over than skill-based routing, also I'll touch on
Sorry,
capacity.
there's another question.
Yes.
Where's the best place to give feedback on Breeze?
Breeze, yes. So I would give it your account manager, or if you're in any of the betas, you can use the beta feedback tool for that. So Breeze generally, I don't think is a beta anymore, so I don't think you can give feedback just on Breeze. But there are certain things you can give feedback on because they're in beta, and then that can sometimes route you to the correct product team to give beta. So if you're in any of the Breeze betas, I wouldn't using the beta feedback tool to do that, which I can show at the end as well, or we can do a quick follow-up as well for how to do that. But you find that in your beta like product updates tool. All right. Okay. So, sorry, now I jumped out of setting. The other setting that I wanted to just quickly touch on is the SLAs. So again, this is an underutilized or semi-underutilized tool that we find can make a big difference in helping teams to stay on track and maintain some efficiency. We find a lot of managers really like this when they are able to jump in and see what the way that it works. So SLAs are goals and service level agreements, but they are goals that we are going to hold our customer service team to in order to make sure that we're staying on track with the level of service that we want to provide to our customers. So we have a few options for setting these goals, how we apply it to our tickets, applying it based on ticket properties, or applying it based on a combination of properties, which is just a set of custom conditions. So in this case, you have options for your goals. You have what the ticket priority, the ticket pipeline, the team that is handling it, or the source of the tickets. So those are the 4 different options for how you can set them up based on one ticket property. If you go to a custom one, you can create a rule that combines a bunch of those things. So like source and pipeline. And in here, you have the actual SLAs. So these are the actual goals for priority. So these are the options we have. We have the time to first reply, the time to next reply, the time to close the ticket, and the time that it takes to mark the ticket as due soon. The amount of time before an SLA is due, change status to due soon. So we want to, this is a setting for the SLA, not the setting for the goal. But we can set that based on our priorities. So we have low, medium, high, and urgent. Those are the ticket priorities. And we know to update. So let's say it's less important that the first reply happens within 4 hours for low and medium, but we want high and we want urgent tickets to be answered within 2 hours. And then after that first reply, we want the next one to happen within whatever amount of time as well. And then we definitely want urgent tickets to close within 24 hours. You have the option to do it by minutes or days, but or if you don't want there to be a time to close, so let's say the low one doesn't have a time to close, then we'll just turn that off. So that's how you can update the SLA, and then you can have it run on a schedule as well. Obviously, we set things like 24 hours. We might not all work on the weekends, so you can set up your hours within your time zones to say whether it's 24/7 or whether those goals only apply during that specific time, or whether there's specific conditions that the SLA should pause under, such as maybe you have a stalled pipeline or a pipeline stated that is stalled, and then you want the SLA to pause when there. You can also do that, or you have like a vacate pipeline stage. You can do that as well.
Erica, we've had another question come in.
I do. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I missed it, Tori, if you have Service Hub Pro, what do users with Service Pro user seats have access to? Yes, so the same thing. I don't know if anybody has Sales Hub. It's the same thing, Service Pro. I'll just finish going over SLAs, and then I will jump into this so I don't confuse anybody. So yeah, this is when you do the SLAs on all tickets, again, you don't have those specific properties, so you're not able to say like, oh, first priority. And then if you do a combination of properties, this is where you have to go through all these custom conditions where you can access basically any of your ticket properties to set them up. So you're able to say like teams, categories, literally any property that you have for your tickets, you can do in the custom one, and you can set an SLA based on that. That is fairly new-ish. When SLAs were first introduced to HubSpot, they were only available for this. So they were only, I think they might have been only available for all tickets. And then they became only available for the 4 different, like one ticket property. So the availability of doing it based on any of your properties is a fairly new feature, but useful one if you have a more custom process. But I find if you're new to this kind of thing, it as a goal, a priority based is usually the best one. Sometimes pipeline based if you have a bunch of ticketing pipelines with different requirements. But I would recommend just setting this up and see what it's doing in relation to it. And that way you can hopefully make sure that everybody's working efficiently towards their goals. And we'll look at reporting on that as well at the final part of the demo. All right, before I pop surveys, I will answer this quick question, which is if you have Service Hub Professional, what do users with Service Hub Pro seats have that users with Core seats don't? So Service Hub Professional seats allow you, or Service Hub Professional or Service Hub Enterprise seats, allow you to access the same things as Sales Hub Enterprise seats do, which is so you can access, I believe routing is one of them, which is actually really important for ticketing. So being able to be used in a workflow for routing deals, tickets, or any records, you can be in there. For sequences, which is automated one-to-one sales emails, for sequences, coding, certain notification are limited to these seats. I believe the customer success desk requires a service seat. So the customer success workspace, which is the space where reps can kind of spend their day looking through. Yes, this pops up every time. Where reps can spend their day looking through their assigned customers, their tickets, their schedule, their calendar. That is going to be restricted to seats as well. So they would have to be over there. Help desk, I don't believe requires that, but the workspace does. Again, that's something that we can grab a list of what's restricted to a paid seat as well if you would like more information. But routing, to me, is kind of the most important one. Okay. So now we have all of our stuff running. We have our internal knowledge base so our team can find what to do. We have tickets set up based on skills, and we have SLAs so our team so we're keeping track of how the team is doing on their goals to ticket response. So now we want to know how are our customers feeling about that, because one of the big items that we have on customer success is to look at the delight. So we actually want to make sure our customers are happy. How are we going to do that? That is with the feedback surveys. So feedback surveys are actually to automate in HubSpot, especially if you're not too pressed about doing something really, really custom. So a customer satisfaction survey, there are a bunch of different types of surveys that you can set up. You have your customer support survey. Obviously, that's good for Service Hub. You have your customer satisfaction survey, which is intended to be a part of a specific customer experience trigger. So like after close a deal, after they become a customer, after their onboarding completes, etc. You can trigger that one. Your NPS, which is usually just sent on a time-based cadence to see how people are feeling about you overall. But HubSpot also has totally custom surveys if you do want to automate a survey entirely based on like any trigger that you want with any information that you want in there. But we like the industry standard surveys for getting started because they're really, really simple to set up. So the customer support survey, you only have the option to send it by email. Some of those other ones you'll see you have the option to put them on a landing page or something like text, etc. And then you have your rate. So when we create our survey, it just is going to take you through a bunch of quick steps for getting the survey ready to go. But they're all, like, you can mostly leave everything as is, but you can customize it if you want to. You can update your subject line, you update your email body, except for the actual customer effort score question. This is an industry standard question that we want to keep the same across the board, but you are able to say, you know, you recently asked for help with this issue. You can address them with personalization tokens, and then you can go from there. So we have our email set up, and this one doesn't want to load for me, but you can go through these options and set it up. I will show you one that is already loaded. Oh, there we go. It's going to come up anyway. Okay. So then you have the space where they can provide their feedback, which is differentiated by whether they said it was difficult, neutral, or easy to provide for us to handle your issue. So whatever they rated you, you can change the follow-up question based on that. Then you have your thank you, which again, you can change entirely based on the different categories of ratings. These are not customizable, so you can't change whether it's 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. These will be the same for your surveys, but you can change all of the text and images. Then when we go to recipients, so we decide it based on a ticket status where they want to do it. So when the ticket is closed, then we're going to send this survey. So as soon as the ticket closed, we're going to send them the survey. And it can be immediate or a time-based delay. And then something that a lot of people miss, people think that automation sometimes means automating it to how to send it. But in this case, automation actually means how it's automated for your team's purposes of following up. And so this often gets missed, but it can be really, really useful. And what it is who gets notified about survey responses. So who on your team do you want to know? Do you want to associate it to a specific campaign? And then my favorite part, which is automating follow-up actions. So this is a regular workflow. You can build it in the workflows tool if you prefer, but this makes it pretty simple to just come in here and add something quickly. And so you're able to just jump in and say, when a survey response is difficult, what do I do next? So if you want to notify people instead of the same person on every response, you can do that here. So when it's difficult, I send an internal notification to this person, or I create a task for this person. Maybe I want to send the customer a whole separate email about something. Maybe I want to change a property, add a note on their record. You can do anything in here that you would in a workflow. You can send a Slack message or a Teams message. So you can add anything that you want in this follow-up workflow for your team to be able to respond to any sort of survey response with a bit more nuance. And so you can, for the really high ones, you can send them to a review platform for you. For the really low ones, you could track them or make sure that you can follow up in a personalized way that will help them to start feeling a little bit better about that service. So that's the customer effort score or the customer success design survey. Again, if you do have a much more custom process where you want to, have a different set of buttons for how they rate you, if you want to automate the sending of it in a much more custom way, like you want to trigger it with a workflow because you have a whole bunch of specific triggers that you need to do, we would recommend using a custom survey. The custom survey does allow you to set up a much more in-depth automation for sending. And you can enter all kinds of different question types, full text, and all of that. Of course, this is built on a landing page, and you would have an email that just goes to start the survey, where then they would bump into this information. But this is a much more, it's only able to be sent during using a workflow. So if you're just getting started with Service Hub, if you're just getting started with setting up ticketing, I recommend just creating a really quick customer effort score survey and send it out to everybody who has a closed ticket. They won't all answer. So I get a lot of surveys when I finish up a ticket with any software that I use, but it is really helpful when you do get that feedback to understand how you can change and improve. Okay, so now we have gone through our ways and getting our customers' feedback. And something that people often see when they are getting feedback from customers is about the time that it takes to respond to tickets. And for some smaller teams, it can be difficult for reps to respond to every single ticket really, really quickly, because maybe there's a limited number of team members who are available. Maybe you're getting a lot of questions outside of the time zone that your team members are working in. And for that, we have found that the new customer service agent, and I'll actually find the real name of it, is one of the more useful items. So the agent is a HubSpot Breeze agent. So again, this is an AI agent that is going to help with answering all of those standard, quick and easy questions from your customers via chat, or it can do email as well, without having to involve a customer service rep to answer that kind of thing. It can, of course, pass over to a human, and there's all kinds of ways to set that up. But this one is not in beta. This is a credit costing agent, so be aware that to handle one conversation, this uses 100 credits. So this is a whole conversation, not like one message, but to handle a whole conversation with a client, it does cost 100 credits. If you want to know how many credits you have available, click on this and go down here to HubSpot credits. You can see how many credits you still have available. And from inside of here, you can set up credit settings, which is what to do if you go over. Do you want to pay per use? Do you want to add more? Do you want to stop using them, shut down the agents? So you can find all of those settings just by clicking here. But this is the number of credits that you currently have available in your portal. If you don't have any, you can buy some as well. But the customer agent does cost credits. However, if you find your reps handling a lot of really basic, like, what is this product? Or what services do you provide for this? Questions that are straightforward and always answered the same, then this could be worth it for you to do. And so I'm going to jump into the customer
Erica,
agent.
there's another question.
Yes, please.
Can this pull from one fully selected knowledge base versus all, or needing to individually select articles?
This one, we're going to jump into, and I'll show you. That's all good. We love questions. Yeah. Perfect.
Keep them coming.
This one can pull from one whole knowledge base rather than individual articles. So I will show you where that goes. So this is your customer agent. There will be a different screen the first time you're setting one up, because you're going to have to go through some questions to set up your brand and your tone, etc. But once you have it created and linked to your URL and your channels, you'll find it in here and manage. This is basically the same thing you'll see as setup. This is where you can change it. So of course you have your identity, where you can give it a name and an avatar and a personality. Right now, you can use your brand voice, which is pretty cool, but there are no, like, I want to give it its own personality. You have to choose from one or the brand voice that you have defined in your settings. The knowledge sources, so here's where you can select specific knowledge bases, and yes, in this case, you can select a full, so this is this knowledge base. You'll have them all separately. So again, you do have to do this to select all your sources, but you can, each knowledge base is separate, so you don't click through each individual article. So you'll find every knowledge base you have is already separate here. So then you just click them all and you click use as source, and then it will pull that up. This one is meant for customers, so don't put your internal knowledge sources into this one because you don't want to share that with customers. But in this case, let's say the help center is, I don't have any art. The help center is where you would have information for your customers. You can select all of those, and then you just click use as source. I'll just do it for this one, but you filter by unused, you grab all the ones that you're not using, and then you click use as source, and now they will sync up into your knowledge base. And you can always turn them off as well. You have the option of knowledge bases, your entire website or any website pages that you want. You can filter also within categories. Landing pages, your blog and blogs you have will all be separate. And then you can also import URLs or files, so from outside sources. And my favorite one, which is short answer. So if you have any specific questions that people are always asking your agents or your actual customer service reps, you can enter them exactly as questions and how you want them answered. So these are a bunch of questions we have for HubSpot services. So which HubSpot plan is right for my business? And we have just answered that question. Obviously, this is a demo. We would have a much more answer than this, but you would answer the short answer. You can provide it with links that it can answer with. So if you have a website link you want it to send, you can do whatever you want. That's how it can answer that question to your lead. But I really like the short answer option. If you're just trying to create a bot or a agent, I shouldn't always call it a bot, an agent that helps you to answer those questions that you're getting. This is one of my favorite ones that you can do, and you can add in those short answers as well, just by clicking right here, or you can import a new knowledge base like this. So if you had a knowledge base that wasn't there yet, you could check that off and sync that up from there, as well as from this used unused option. If you have actions, these require coding. So this is the one piece of it that is requires some coding that is not no code. But if you do have the ability to do that, if you wanted to take specific actions such as look at order numbers and package tracking, if you're a B2C business that is, or even I guess B2B, that is sending in packages like that, or if you wanted to look at like an invoice from a third-party system, it can do that if you define its inputs. So if you tell it that the order is going to start with this, then it can find that and track it, and then you set up an API to look at your like the API request to whatever other system is holding that information. So if you do have the ability to do that, and you do want to add in specific like order or invoice or some sort of tracking with a system like this, and you do have the ability to use an API to grab that information, you can add that there, which is kind of cool. The human handoff is also really important. So you can set up a lot of custom triggers for when your agent is going to hand off to a real person and how it's going to do that. So we have the customer agent will hand off during these specific triggers if it can't answer the question, if the visitor asks to speak to a human, or if the agent is paused, as in you're out of credits. And then we can have 20 custom triggers here for when we want it to do that. So it doesn't want to load. Okay, no, we'll just name that whatever we want it. Okay, so there we go. And we edit the handoff process, and we tell it to hand off to a human agent live. So if someone's going to answer the question right now, if you have this set up as a chat bot, so you have this as a bot on your website, then this is probably a good idea. If you have this set up to handle email questions, then it's probably good to go async. And that just means that a human agent will follow up later. So the bot's going to say, hey, thank you. I've passed this on to a real person. They'll send you an email. Then you have all of your options for where to do that. So do you want it to go to a specific team? Do you want it to hand off all to the same people? Where do you want to send it? Which inbox that's set up in your system? Who do you want to assign it to? A specific team, a specific set of routings? And what's the message that you want it to send when it's going to do that? That they need to give their email, and then it can be in touch there. If you want to do it as a live handoff, again, it's all the same options, but he's going to transfer it right away. Again, this is probably most useful for if you have live chat. This would be a little bit of a process if it was happening via email, although I guess it would be more. And then, of course, you can have don't hand off to anyone if you just wanted to quit, but I don't recommend doing this. I would definitely setting up at least the async handoff in order to get those things passed over to a person if there's a question that the bot is unable. And then, of course, you have our deployment. Where do you want it to be? Again, the same as you would deploy this in a chatbot. You can click deploy agent, and then you can choose where you want it to be. So whether you want it to be live chat, email, like these are all of the workspaces and everything. You can add any workspace or channel that you have connected to HubSpot. So there's a lot of options there. Again, remember, this does use credits, and it's going to warn you at every turn. This is a credit item. And you have your performance tab as well, which is where you can see how that agent is handling conversations for you, how long it's taking, what's the feedback, how many does it pass over to a person, etc. So we'll test it, and I will show you what that looks like. So,
Erica, there's another question.
Okay, I'm gonna run this quick test, and then I will answer that because that's a fairly long question. But I'm just going to run a quick test here to show you how this works. And while this is loading, I will read the question. Okay, so this is what the agent would look like. Testing doesn't use credits, but it does actually edit records. So if you for real tell it to do something on a customer record, like if you're using the API, it will actually do that in the test. So just be careful about that. But let's say we're someone on our website and we're going to ask our trial agent what HubSpot services that we offer. So now it's going to assign it to my trial agent, and it is going to go through that. So let me read this. Okay. Well, the idea of customer, if we have multiple products that are included in knowledge base, the customer agent might mix results. There's an installation for product A and installation for product B. Any tips? Yeah. I think, honestly, the best tip I have, well, now this really doesn't want to load in time. When I am screen sharing, this has been instant when I have not been screen sharing. So just be aware that that's why it's taking so long. But I'll answer this quickly. I'll let it load. Yes, my best tip for getting the customer agent to not mix results is to be as detailed as possible with the inputs. And so I know that sometimes, we have things in our knowledge base that are just like the instruction manual for product A, and we'll just load that up. But what you could do is you could create a separate, an article or something that is more directed towards the bot. Like, this is the manual only for this product. Just be as specific as possible with the full name of the product in every manual. And again, this is a new AI. It doesn't work, so I'm gonna, normally this would answer the question really quickly. I'll try resetting it. Just be as specific as possible with the information. This is an AI. It is not foolproof, so that is a valid concern. And I think what I would do is I would try to avoid allowing the agent to answer that kind of really in-depth question. And I know that's probably not the answer that you might want to hear, but I would probably try to keep it to more basic questions if you have concerns about it not grabbing the right information with complex manuals and things like that. Is I would probably just create a bunch of short answers to much more specific questions, and then instruct the agent to pass it over to a human if there comes in a more technical question. But be really specific with testing, see if it works, see if it does mix things up. If you find that it isn't, then maybe it's all right to use. All right, well, I would show you guys what that looks like, but it doesn't want to pull up the actual demo while I'm screen sharing. Okay. We are actually over time now, so I don't want to keep anyone too much longer. I just wanted to point out our final hack, which was reporting and the default Service Hub reports. So if you have not used Service Hub yet, or if you're new to it, it's really easy to get lost in the weeds of custom reports. Check out all of the default analytics suite before you start creating custom reports, because there are a ton of really great reports in here that are easy to grab and use, that you can start analyzing how your customers are feeling, how your agents are doing, how your people are doing, and there's a lot of stuff in here that you can, how many available reps do you have, how's ticket reply going, how are customers feeling. There's a lot of analytics that are really, really useful in here, and you don't have to go and get lost in the weeds of creating a difficult custom report. Okay, I see a lot of people having to jump out, so we've gone over time. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Any questions remaining for this? I see one. Okay, yeah. More in-depth walkthroughs, absolutely. So we host a Hug event. Actually, let me stop sharing and I will. We host a Hug event every quarter. We will have one in Q1 of 2026 as well. Hopefully we can have more hugs than that if we get a lot of interest in having them as well. We really encourage everyone to join our LinkedIn group. The link is in the chat, as well as it will be shared in the follow-up email that you get with this. You will be able to join the LinkedIn group there, where you can contact Shani or I directly and let us know if you have any additional questions or would like more information. We also do some polls in there where we ask about what you would like to see next, what deep dives you might want to go into. And of course, I will drop my email address into the chat as well. And if you are interested in a more in-depth follow-up with anyone on our team, yes, it is hard to find Service Hub talks. We are technically the sales enablement hub, but we do try to introduce some service and marketing stuff as well, because we find Service One is the most difficult to find people talking about. So I will drop my email in there. One thing that we are thinking about having for our next hug is actually doing a comparison with HubSpot Service Hub versus other platforms that do customer success and ticketing. So we're going to be putting out some content based on that. If you want to check in the LinkedIn group, we will share it in there as well when we put out that content. But if you're interested in something like that, please let us know. We can also run a future hug on that. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us today, everyone who was able to stick around. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out in any way. You will get a survey at the shortly after you leave this event. And if you could please fill that out, it really helps us to understand how we're doing and what you might like to see going forward. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.